Hickok 45 here, and it's time for a little history lesson before we take a shot. Now, like I said, we're going to have a little quiz here. Most of you, if you're interested in firearms, now I know you look at the old FUD guns. If that's the way you look at these firearms, I kind of feel sorry for you because these are so interesting. Speaking of military assault handguns, weapons, this is, I'll try to be longer than this, but this is a Colt single action, as you know, right? It's an original. And that is the firearm that was issued to the military that got a sidearm from around 1873 to 1892, more or less, okay? In that length barrel, okay? And there's some Schofields as well, but the Colt single action, 45 Colt, all right. And I'm gonna skip a little here. This is a new service revolver. This specific one was made in 1901. I think they started in 1898, and they were made up through the early 1900s, okay? And for a period of time, once you got to around 1900, these big old 45 revolvers, and either 45 long Colt or 45 ACP, were very instrumental, okay? They played a major role in the early 1900s, especially these double action 45s, all right? And then we got the 1911, and you know what we have, the good old 1911, and that one is, I think that one was made, what, 1918? But that is an original, and that's, you know, it's a real 1911. It's not an A1, okay? So once those got cranking, those were issued to the military, all right? I'm not sure how many of the new service revolvers, you know, were actually issued, but they were used. Then you had the 1909 big old kind of new service revolver. You had the 1917 Colts and Smith & Wessons that used the 45 ACP round. So revolvers played a major role. World War I, from, you know, say 1900, double action revolvers, around 1900, right on up into World War I and beyond, okay? They worked. All right, especially when there were shortages of 1911s and whatever. So we're talking, again, 1873, 1892 for this baby, issued, military issue. And then I jumped up here to about 1900, you noticed, right? And after. And we got these babies. There's a gap here. And a lot of firearms enthusiasts are probably like I have been a lot of my life, a little vague about this gap. You know, if I quiz your friends and say, ask them, you know, what was the military sidearm of the 1890s? I know the Colt single action kind of, it went through 92, but what about 1895? What was issued? 1897, 1896, 1898, 1900, 1901. What were they issuing? The 1911 wasn't out yet. Even not a lot of the big old revolvers, double action revolvers. Well, if you want the answer, we'll do another video next year on that. No, just look up at the title of this video. It will probably tell you. It's what I've got in my new Bianchi holster. I'll show you in a little bit. Just kidding. It's the model, the New Army 1892, model 1892. All right, that's what replaced pretty much the Colt single action. And some of you folks who are real historians, you know, fill in some of the gaps here. We'll do something a little more thorough and extensive on this later. But I wanted to show you this because I just picked this up. I had never owned one. I'd never shot one. I'm not sure I'd even laid eyes on one and knew what I was looking at up until, you know, a year ago when I started kind of researching the 38 long Colt. This is caliber 38 long Colt, the cartridge. It's a 38, okay? Not 38 special, although it will chamber one. You probably don't want to shoot 38 special in it, unless it's so weak that it barely gets out, okay? The 38 long Colt cartridge is smaller, okay? There it is. It's basically the same case except for the length. Let me get out a 38 special, and you can kind of see the difference. See, it's a shorter case. I have a .357 Magnum in my pocket. I'm always prepared, aren't I? And you see, it's longer than those are. 38 has a lot of history. There are a lot of different lengths. There was a 38 short and I don't know what all. But there you go. Magnum 357 Magnum, which is a 38, and then 38 Special, and here's 38 Long Colt. All right, so it's shorter and less powerful than a 38 Special, okay, generally speaking. Now, these 38 Special I have right here are, these are 130 grain. They're very, very low power. I don't know what the velocity, oh, here we go. We've got 890 from the muzzle, 229 foot-pounds of energy. They're really light. I recommend these often over the years. If you're teaching somebody to shoot and you've got a 38 Special or a 357 Magnum and never shot before, no recoil from those, okay? So I have actually fired a couple of them in this gun. You're not supposed to shoot 38 Special, and I would not shoot like plus P or any kind of carry ammo or anything like that. I probably shouldn't even shoot those, but I've fired a couple of them. You're supposed to shoot 38 Long Colt, okay? Now, so yeah, let me go ahead and load it and shoot it as I'm yakking at you, because I know you want to see it fired. It's in pretty good shape. I was looking for one, and I wanted one that was fireable, and because it's just something we've never brought to you, and we've got another bigger video in mind. Think in terms of that U.S. rifle history we gave you a few years ago. This was one of the gaps I had, and I wanted to fill that gap. And I didn't care if it was a junker. Didn't want to pay a lot of money for it because it's not going to be a carry gun for me, although it's very interesting as a historical piece. Let's take a couple shots with it. The cylinder acts like it doesn't lock up, really match up well, but it seems to. We'll see. I've been shooting it some. See? It'll even smoke pot. I'll fire double action. There you go. Click. So, I mean, it seems to work. I'm not getting lead back or shrapnel back or anything. Like a lot of old Colt revolvers I've noticed, even Pythons I've owned over the years, back in the day, they may not seem to lock up, but when you cock it and when you pull the trigger, it locks up. It's almost scary. Look at that. When I pull the trigger, that cylinder actually moves and lines up. It's kind of a characteristic of Colt, to tell you the truth. So it shoots. It's cool. And this one's dated 1901. So we got some interesting firearms here. This was made 1883. This one's made in 1900. And this one's made 1901. That was 1918. So, man, yeah, you talk about FUDs. These are real FUD guns. These are not exactly your black rifles or your polymer pistols, but this is really the beauty of the hobby. I feel sorry for people who have not developed an appreciation for these old firearms like this. I really do. I mean, an AR-15 is great fun. I've got several, love them, but boy, these things almost, anti-gunners will love this one. They touch your soul. I mean, the wood and the steel and the time period, the history, when you cock that firearm, that was carried by somebody, some soldier. It's a U.S. gun in 1883 and 1890 and 1900 or whenever, okay? So, if you don't like that kind of stuff, yeah, I can't relate to you, I guess. But anyway, I digress. So, this is the gap that I'm filling today for you. You get a quiz, you get a test, and now you'll know, all right? The model 1892, replace this. I don't know, it's double action. Why did it replace it? Okay, it holds 6 rounds, it's double action, you can load it faster. We're all familiar with the Schofields by this time, and I think some of those are even in double action, but you just open up the cylinder and eject all your cases at once, and you can put in 6 and load her back up and shoot. Now, it doesn't seem too exciting to you, maybe, in 2019, but, in 1892, that was pretty cool. A little different from loading and unloading this, huh? And even though it was a 38, a smaller bullet cartridge, less power and everything. And that's what was that was the firearm. I think it was the official years were 1892 to 1909. Even though when you got into the 1900s, you got a little bit more murky. These were still issued in the standard sidearm, I guess. But then, depending on whether we were, Spanish-American War, what all was going on, there were some 45s put into service. And that's what was kind of the death knell of this firearm. You've probably heard that story. When we got involved, of course, in the Spanish-American War in 1898, carried these, and then, among other things, and then the Philippine American War, what do you want to call it? The Filipino insurrection. You know, there was I think once the Spanish-American War was over, we signed, the Treaty of Paris. If I'm not mistaken, it put Cuba, I don't know, under our, I guess at the time under our control, Puerto Rico and the Philippines, I think. But the Philippines didn't like that. The Filipinos didn't like that, and there was a rebellion, and I'm not sure what all the reasons were. I probably slept through history class those days. Oh, history teachers were so boring when I came through school. Believe it, more boring than I am. So, but anyway, we were in the Philippines, okay, and we were fighting the Moros, the tribes, and trying to quell the insurrections and everything. And they were drugged up, a lot of them, and these little 38 rounds were just not doing the job. And so the call went out for a 45, bigger caliber, and actually brought some of these into action. The 1911 wasn't out yet. We're talking like 1899, 1900, 1901, along in there, early 1900s. And so the new service revolvers, the Colt single actions, 45s. They wanted 45s, and then they got 45s. And of course, that helped also lead the U.S. to making more 45s. In fact, in 1909, that's another one I'm not real familiar with. The 1909 Colt is basically another version of the new service. The new service went through several iterations, but basically the same big old double action 45. The 1909 was an official military, assigned or issued firearm, and it was kind of a new service in 45 Colt. Okay, not ACP, not yet, because the 1911s when that cartridge got big time, and we started making revolvers chambering that, just for convenience. So anyway, this was the firearm that was of the 1890s, basically, in a nutshell, and beyond. And it was replaced because it just wasn't getting the job done with that cartridge in battle. And again, bear in mind, in military use, you generally have just round nose, even today, like with 9mm, you've got just full metal jacket, so you're not using hollow points or anything. And then with these, you're shooting something that doesn't have a lot of power to it, for sure. But it's a bullet. It's a bullet. It's a gun. Okay, and you got 6 rounds, and you fire, and unload and reload, fairly fast, considering what you had up until then. So it's a Colt. So like most Colts, if not all revolvers, you pull back on this little doodad, the cylinder release, and instead of push on it like a Smith & Wesson generally. Well, let's put one on the gong with this old thing. See if we can get one out there. Oh man, let's see. I don't know if it went high or low. I'm going to hold down a little bit. I'll hold up a little bit. Not sure where they're going. I'm going to hold down further. Okay, I saw that one. Maybe we'll try it again a little bit. It could be very inaccurate. I don't know. I hadn't shot it a lot. Just who knows. And of course, again, 38 long Colt you can't get just anywhere. So you can't buy bulk ammo at Walmart, I don't think, and 38 long Colt. Let me put one on the Cowboy and see where it's printing. I'm going to try and hold right in the middle of him. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot, it kind of shoots to the right, I think. Let me try one more. I'm going to put it right on in the center. Yeah, it goes to the right. So by the time it gets to the gong, it's it's definitely going to be, I'm going to hold on the left of the gong. And a little further. I don't know where it's going, but that's okay if it's not gong worthy. I won't lose any sleep. What else about it before we shoot it maybe once more? It looks like a Colt, doesn't it? Again with that cylinder latch, and everything. It's just a neat old gun. It's dated on the grips, got the serial number, U.S. Army model, and model 1901. And it's all, the serial numbers match. Just a nifty firearm. Even the grips match. I took those off, and it's a firearm that a lot of people are not familiar with. I think that time period, it doesn't have a lot of I don't know, glorified history, related to it, other than its claim to fame, which is a dubious distinction, is that it didn't get the job done, and they had to replace it. Right, so that's never good. That's never good. You don't hear that about the Colt single action, do you? Or the 1911, or the big revolvers. So what made this firearm famous, and probably if you know anything about it, that's a story you've heard about, how it didn't get the job done in the Philippines, and they pulled in 45s to get the job done. So, but that's it. That's the gun, the Colt New Army model 1892. Now, there were a bunch of different models. As with so many firearms, it gets complicated, and you're not interested in a lot of that, and I don't know a lot of that, really. There was a model 1894, I think, a 95, an 1896, maybe a 98, a 1901 model. This is a model 1901. So there were a lot of different improvements and little tweaks along the way. It started out with the 1892 where the cylinder turns counterclockwise. You notice that? And that's not supposed to be really great for having a strong lockup and everything. And it does have a weak system in it. It's considered weak by comparison. I think it was 1907 or something. Later on, they changed the direction. It turned clockwise, okay? So to improve that to some extent. So it went through a lot of different tweaks and improvements through the years. But, again, it's just known for being a weak round. Because it is. And one of the things, if I didn't say, you really want to stay away from 38 Special. And I'm going to shoot one around here just to show you. Well, I'll shoot a couple. Because when I first got it, I didn't have the ammo yet. And I did. I've got some of that. And what they did was they bored through these chambers, so there's no stop. It'll chamber anything. So I'll shoot a couple of these. Let's see. Yeah, it goes counterclockwise. Oh, we got a couple of targets left here too. Wee-haw! See, now to me, these don't feel. Oh, I forgot. I was holding left and I went left. So, these don't feel really much more, if any, more powerful than the long Colt. But that's only, again, let me caution you, because this is a very weak round for 38 Special. It's very nice for new shooters. Not that, Federal, not picking on Federal or American Eagle, that, they don't even load any decent 38 Special. No, that's not the case. They load a lot of that, because some of it I use for carry. It's just good stuff, plus P and everything else. That just happens to be just exactly what it's supposed to be. Yeah, just what it's supposed to be. But don't try at your own risk. It's just like in this firearm, you don't want to shoot modern 45 Colt in it. It's made in the black powder era, and I won't shoot that. I will shoot black powder in it when I fire it. So, you want to be smart. But again, the caution here is mainly, look at this 357 Magnum round. It will chamber in this gun. It would fire, but it might very well blow that cylinder up. Okay, so just be aware of that. If you ever have one of these, if you run into someone who has one, they're not aware of that. They just, this is my grandpa's old gun I inherited or something. I don't know, I think it's a 38. It says 38 long Colt, whatever the heck that is, but I noticed it'll chamber a 38 Special or even a 357 Magnum. Let's go out and shoot it. Yeah, you may go out and shoot yourself, blow yourself up. So just be aware of that. That is one of the dangers, of these old firearms. Okay? When we think about it, in 1892, there were no 357 Magnum rounds or 38 Special rounds. Those all came later. So it would not have occurred, especially in an era when you didn't have the nanny state so involved in protecting us from every little thing, right? So I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know of any other 38s that would have, taxed this revolver or this cylinder. So, but now there are, and they're the same size, and they would shoot. okay, or they would explode or shoot or do something, right? So just be aware of that. That's the only reason I brought that out. Put it back in my pocket. But interesting piece of history. You know, and that's kind of the lineup there. Like I say, you've got, as far as officially adopted handguns, you know, you had this, then you had that. And then in 1900, in that area, it gets a little bit more murky, you know, in terms of this still the official, I guess, adopted gun, but you got others that are in service, like the new service revolver and the various iterations of it, the 1907, 1909, and everything. We just got more enamored with the 45, either an ACP or long or Colt, you know. Once this had proven itself unworthy, okay, then we went to bigger bullets, bigger diameter, up until when? Yeah, 1985 or 86 with the Beretta. So just a little quick look at this. Yeah, quick, right? Talk too long. The old Colt New Army model 1892. Pretty interesting pistol. Revolver and that era. If you were a little bit vague about that, maybe you're a little less vague right now, but I thought it'd be interesting to get one of these. And I've had my radar out for one for 2 or 3 years because I knew it was a gap that I just wanted to fill, and I feel a lot better now that I understand that a little bit better. If you got one, tell us about what you know about them, because I've not had that all that long, and I've just kind of learned kind of the essentials and where it fits and what the fire in it and the ammo and everything. And you know, I won't shoot it much, but it's just nice to have that slot filled. You know, in the I've always liked military revolver or military handguns, military rifles, like most of us. Even though I didn't serve in the military, most of the military firearms are well made. Imagine that. You know, they're made to take a beating. They're basic, usually pretty simple to work on, to field strip, rugged generally, and just like, you know, what you want in a firearm for the most part. So the model 1892, let me shoot it one more time before I let you go. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get the right bullets here. Okay, remember, you don't want to shoot 38 special. You don't want to shoot 357 mag. You want to shoot 38 long Colt if you have one of these around, and then you'll know you're safe, all right? All right. I love old worn out pistols like this. Oh, you know what? I've got a couple targets down here. Let's shoot this guy. I don't want to hit the tree. Oh, you know what? You see how high that went? Let me get closer to these 2 liters. I'll shoot one of them. My guess is I was going over the gong. I'm going to take a couple more shots at the gong. No. I don't know if I hit it or not. I didn't hear it. So I'm sorry, but we're just going to have to, I'm tempted to run over there and shoot it, but we'll just have to let the gong live. All right, the next time we bring it out, that will be the first mission order of business. Somehow hit the gong, okay? So anyway, the model 1892 New Army is an interesting piece of history, and it was replaced, of course, by better firearms, more powerful handguns, and it largely was the round. You know, it looks a little bit like a Smith & Wesson Model 10 to you, doesn't it, or something. If you had a firearm that would handle it, and some really hot 38 Special, which, you know, came around not too much later than this, yeah, it wouldn't have been so bad. You know, some hollow point plus P 38 Specials, you know, you could do a lot worse than that, you know. Yeah, you could do a lot worse, like 38 long Colt, right? But anyway, it is what it is, and pretty neat old Colt. So hope that helped you a little bit, because I'd hate for someone to ask you about this and about the era of the 1890s and you not to know that, for you just to sort of stare at them and not know anything about what was carried and issued during those years. Now you know, and I'm not going to charge you anything for it. Life is good.
Oh, hi. Since you guys are here, just killing a little time. I've already seen this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. While you're here, I want to remind you to please check out our friends over at SDI and TalonGunGrips.com. SDI is a fully accredited online distance learning program where you can become associated, get an associate's degree, and be associated with some good people, get an associate's degree in firearms technology, and get certified in gunsmithing. That's SDI.edu. And also, Talon Grips makes grips for grip tape for lots of different types of handguns and other purposes. As you can see right there, they have a lot of cool stuff over on their website. Go to TalonGunGrips.com. I think you'll be glad you checked that out, and also SDI. So appreciate both of those people and support them if it makes sense for you, as we always ask. Also, since you're here, just want to further remind you that we do have a website. It's called hickok45.com. That's HICKOK45.com. Some people try to misspell it on us. So go check that out. That's where you can find all kinds of things over there, like our social media, the real Hickok45 on Instagram, Hickok45 on Twitter and Facebook. I have an Instagram page, John_Hickok45. Let's see, our merchandise is on our website, and also bunkerbranding.com. You can find it there too. And we have videos on Gunstreamer now, so if you want to check that out, watch us somewhere other than YouTube, do that. And also don't forget about our Patreon page. We got some good people over in the Gong Club on our Patreon page, so if that's something you're interested in, check that out. We post videos over there occasionally that don't go on YouTube, or you get like an early look, something like that. So check that stuff out. Feel free to watch some other videos, and I got to get back to my axe throwing here because if the apocalypse comes, all the Glocks and 1911s and SIGs and XDs and Walthers and H&Ks might not be any ammo to shoot in those, so I might have to resort back to tools like this. So I'll get back to my training, and I'll let you guys get back to watching videos. Thank you.